Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how you should choose a specialty. It's a very big topic, and the reason I'm talking about it today is because it's that time of the year again where you'll be applying for various kinds of applications in the UK to get into a training program, and a ton of opinions would be circulating around you, and essentially it is going to confuse you. This video is not intended to tell you what you should be doing with your life. That is your decision completely. But I'm just going to talk about a few things that I think should be kept in mind when you're thinking about your future specialty. Another thing that I want to point out here is definitely, this is not the last time I'm talking about this, because every single day on my Instagram, I get so many people asking this particular question, and first of all, I want to answer all of those questions before I give my 2 cents about how you should go about this. So I feel like this video either would be in 2 parts, or B, it would be like a series where I keep talking to you guys about how you should go, regarding this particular thing, because I think it's very sensitive. It's like choosing a partner, because you'll be there for the rest of your life. But again, that also changes when I talk about it. So let's just dive into the video, and I'll see how much I can cover in, a standard, reasonable amount of time for a video. And if I feel like there is so much more to talk about, which I think there is, I will upload further videos to kind of, I don't know, is it counseling? Because I feel like some of you really do need it, and I needed it as well. So I don't know, let's just stop rambling. Let's just get into the video and talk about a few things that you definitely should consider. Okay, so first thing is your personal circumstances. I think that is one of the most important things that people tend to not think about, or think about way too much, and then they start kind of getting confused or getting distressed or even discouraged by people around them. And by personal circumstances, I mean things like your age, the time of your life, where you are in your career, and essentially your financial goals or your financial current status. The first biggest thing that a lot of people at this moment in time, say for example, if you were at my stage where you were about to graduate from med school and you were thinking, should I be staying in my country, which I'm assuming is a third world country, and should I be leaving the country and going to another country? And the 2 biggest options that people from my country have is either they have the option of USMLE or they have the option of PLAB, which is in itself a very, very big topic. And because I myself haven't done USMLE or lived in the US, I can't really give you opinions about, how is the life in US, I'm not going to do that. I will tell you why I chose UK is because I wanted to do my immigration by myself, completely financially independently. And when I looked at the numbers from US and UK, I realized that there is no way I could do US by myself. And I also don't have anybody in the US, and you kind of need somebody in the US, which I didn't have. I also didn't have people in the UK either, but I felt like, UK was a easier place to kind of go into, right? So now we're at the second stage and we're in the UK, and you come as an IMG and everybody's telling you that you can't get into a certain specialty because it's very, very difficult to get into it, and there is no way an IMG can ever get into this particular field. And obviously, because you're new to the country, you don't know the system, you start believing that. And then you start thinking about, okay, well, that's the specialty I want. I can't do that. So what's my next option? And this video is basically going to tell you, hell no, you will get into what you want. The question is, what do you want? And that's why we're here. So essentially, when you're trying to choose a specialty, you need to decide a few important things. Your personal circumstances aside, which we've already talked about, you're already in the UK. Let's start from there. And you need to think about whether you have a family, whether you can move a lot, whether you want to be in training for a long period of time. All of those things obviously are also part of the personal circumstances. The thing that most people don't talk about is the fact that it doesn't matter how long the training is, as long as you're happy in the morning to go to work, or happy in the evening when you're going for a night shift. And I feel like that happiness is more important than how long your training is. And some people might disagree with me and say, oh no, you don't know anything about anything, you're single, you have the time of your life. Bullshit. Because I have seen people who have families, who have kids, women, okay, not just men, and both genders have kids and families and they're living a full life and they chose a specialty that they love. And even though they're working less than full time, they're happy. It's the happiness that you're looking for. And I know a lot of people are going to say, you're just a number on a rota, blah, blah. No. You might be a number on rota for other people, but for yourself, you're not a number on the rota. You are whoever you are, and you're looking at the rota and you want to be on that rota or not, right? So that is something that you really, really need. And there are people, obviously, at this point, when I say this, they come and tell me and say, I actually don't know what I want to do. That's fine too. As long as you know that you don't know what you want to do and you don't have your heart set on something, then you could do taster weeks and think about whether you want to do night shifts, whether you want to do acute unwell patients, whether you want to do interventions, whether you want to do all of the stuff without the acuteness, whether you want to do just admin work or just talking to patients or making like a communication bridge with them, or you want all of it, or you want none of it. And all of these questions are very important questions. So basically, write it down, okay? If you are actually watching this video to decide what you want to do, write these questions down and think about it. Say, for example, me, I knew that I wanted to do something acute. I wanted to do something where patients are critically unwell, where I'm doing something, either they die or they live, okay? And what comes into mind with these is surgery, surgical interventions, interventional, all sorts of fields which require you to do immediate action. And then from there on, you kind of decide, okay, do I want to do night shifts? Do I not want to do night shifts? Do I want to do an elective list? Do I not want to do that? Like, what kind of medical field do I fit into? Or do I want all of it? Which you can get, by the way. There are fields which aren't just acute. They do also do clinics. I realize that I hate follow-up and I don't like it at all. Any kind of follow-up is not my forte. In fact, I'll talk about my first ever patient sometime with you guys, but bless her, she's in heaven now. Love her to bits. She taught me everything there is to be about a doctor and compassion and everything. But after watching her go through what she did, I realized that, hell no, follow-up is not my thing. So therefore, I decided, okay, even surgeons do follow-ups, right? Who doesn't do a follow-up? Anaesthetics. And I was like, yeah, that's my field. Critical care now does follow-ups, but again, if you don't want to choose that part of critical care, you don't have to do it. So the next best thing, critical care, which I like, because anaesthetics is interventional, a lot hands-on, lots of stress involved, and obviously we're in theatres, but it's not a critically unwell situation. You do get healthy patients. And so I wanted that aspect as well. And so therefore, critical care is my first love. I think that's my only love, but I love it. And so that's how you kind of decide whether you want acute, whether you want chronic, whether you want follow-ups, whether you want night shifts, whether you don't want night shifts. And all of this, I haven't talked about the length of your training yet, okay? Because in my opinion, that doesn't matter. But we'll talk about it. So now that you've decided and your heart is set on something, and it should feel like love, by the way. I mean, I know I'm saying this, it's a very heavy word, but I feel like that's how it should feel like, because you're going to be there. You're going to be doing night shift, you're going to be, it's going to be stress. It's not going to be a bed of roses, right? So you want to be able to have passion into your thing. It might get boring after a few years because there's nothing new to learn, which I think is absolutely wrong again. But it's still something you love. So it should feel like that when you've decided which one you want. And if you're a medic-minded person, it's quite easy for you guys, because there is 3 years of your training here in the UK where you can go and do a lot of taster weeks into various fields. and you can decide what you want to do. And if you can't decide any of them, then there's an option to do acute medicine. So there's a lot that goes in behind choosing medicine. Medic, not medicine, medics. Alright, so next thing we're going to talk about is the length of training. Yes, it is very, very long. It's around 7 to 8 years in the UK. People would kind of discourage you about it and be like, oh no, it's so long. People tell me things like, oh, you're going to be old by the time you're going to be a consultant. And I count it and I'm like, well, I'm going to be in my early 30s. I don't think that's old. But, people say that, and it's okay. They think that way. However, the weird part is they themselves have done really long training. So them discouraging me is kind of like a weird thing to do, but to each their own. And so why is the training long? Because you have really good work-life balance. You don't work a lot. You also have the option for LTFT, which is less than full-time training. And even in LTFT, there are options such as 60%, 80% on. And so it kind of, yes, lengthens your training a little bit more. But then again, if you end up having kids, or if you end up having traveling, or if you end up doing anything else besides medicine, you'll have a good work-life balance. And that's what you aim for, because it's not a sprint. This is a marathon, and you don't want to kind of exhaust yourself in the first early years, which is how it happens in my country. And people are just exhausted by the time they become consultants, and there are no jobs there as well. So you're kind of stuck. You're a consultant, but jobless. And here you can just be in a job. You go to do whatever you like. You're doing it. And you're learning as you grow. You're training as you grow. And it's just a nice, controlled, better paced environment, in my opinion. And I don't think that the 7 to 8 years is really going to change much in your life. Because essentially, if you want to get married, if you want to have kids, if you want to travel, if you even want to do another degree, all of that is possible during your training, which is what I love about this country, is because you could freeze your training, go do something, come back and rejoin, right? And if you are somebody from my country and have that mentality where you're like, oh my God, I've lost a year. Not really. You've lived a year. Let's change that mindset. Let's talk about living rather than existing, right? You are living the year where you, went to British Bake Off for a year, or you went to travel the world for a year. And when you come back, and obviously your peers have grown again, into a next year, but you have lived something else. So think about it that way. Think about it in a non-box way. I know it's very hard, especially if you're an IMG and you're watching from one of the countries that I belong to. It will be very hard for you to even digest what I'm saying. But think about it. Just think about it. You are going to age every year. That is never going to stop, right? Would you want to be stuck in doing one thing all these 7 to 8 years? Or you want to divide your time, have a good time, live your life, have a family, do another degree, go travel, and still continue medicine without burnout? I think that's a better option than forcing yourself to run on a treadmill and then passing out. So let's recap, because I feel like I've been talking for a while now. So first thing you're going to consider is your financial circumstances, your personal circumstances, that includes your age, the type of training you want, and where you are at your life. Not just training, your life, okay, and what you want from it. Next thing you're going to think about is, what kind of stuff do you like? Do you like acute interventions? Do you like just talking to patients? Do you like hands-on fields? Do you like both? Do you like working night shifts? Do you like shift patterns? Do you just want to work 9 to 5? Do you want follow-up clinics? What do you want? Do you want critically unwell patients? Like all of that stuff, write it down. And then as you make your little tree of whatever you're trying to do, you will understand what kind of field you're going to be in. In the next coming videos, I will talk about different fields and what they offer, because I myself have learned a lot working with different allied specialties in critical care in this rotation, and I've realized how each of them brings something to the table. So I will talk about each different field and how you could actually have all of this in your fields. But for today, you make that little tree for yourself, find out like what you like in terms of acute, chronic, follow-ups, critically unwell, stable patients, all of that. Once you've gone that, then we'll talk about your options there. And lastly, we're talking about whether you want to work full-time, part-time, whether you want to be on the treadmill, like run or sprint, or you want to do a marathon and live your life also at the same time. And I feel like these three aspects do cover a lot regarding different types of specialities that are present in the world. Actually, I wouldn't say that this is just UK based. It's the whole world, because medicine, essentially, in my opinion, because I love being a doctor so much, I feel like we are all doing the same thing. I don't think any field is superior to another field. I don't like when people think like that, and this goes for all kinds of medical doctors. But essentially, you shouldn't be thinking about, oh, you know what, I don't want to do this because it's not a more prestigious field. I think as a healthcare worker, even if you are like anything, just anything as a healthcare worker, not a doctor, just anything, you are a very valuable part of the ecosystem of the world. So please don't think of yourself as something beneath others if you're choosing something which you feel like is not really coveted or competitive or whatever, okay? And so on this note, I will end this video. I hope that you guys have some clarity, or at least some form of insight about how you should think about these things. And obviously, I know this isn't the end of this topic. It'll keep coming up on my Instagram. I will have to keep making videos about it. And it's, to be honest, it's my passion. I'd rather have you guys working in the healthcare system than quitting because of burnout. So I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, please give the video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.